Everybody saw my pick. I ended up taking the Edmonton Oilers over the Colorado Avalanche after a 42-minute breakdown of the series. Wow, that one sure got away from me. So we're going to condense it a little bit here, and I'm also going to bring in my favorite writer on the planet, the smartest guy covering hockey, Dom Luszczyszyn's material. Now we're just going to react to his material. As stated before, he's going to talk about team breakdowns, roster composition, superstar players. Dom does it the best in the business, so you should head over to theathletic.com. You should subscribe to theathletic.com. We are not sponsored by theathletic.com, and we're going to talk all about McDavid, Makar, Draisaitl, Rantanen. We're going to keep it a little bit shorter this time. We'll get to the point here, and I'll explain a little bit better why I ended up making my pick, which isn't changing, by the way, as the Edmonton Oilers take on the Colorado Avalanche. And spoiler alert, the Avalanche are the smart money. So if you've got the Avs, everybody else does. Vegas does. The Athletic does. It just makes a lot of sense. But it's my channel, and I'm allowed to go on a limb if I want to. So as we always say, let's talk about it. So there's a lot of writers out there right now. Actually, there isn't a lot. There's a handful that want to talk about things like advanced statistics and what's going on in the game of hockey, breaking it down, giving you a more predictive idea of what could happen in the game. But The Athletic does it better than anybody else. And instead of going through and basically copying all the material, I want to be able to react to what is going on with The Athletic, interpret the numbers for you as I see them, and then that'll help you put a little bit of an eye on the game. Why? Because a lot of the guys that do advanced stats aren't coaches. Most aren't players, so you have to have that combination of someone that can not only understand where they're getting at from the statistics, but put a real life game spin on it. And I think we do that better than anyone else in the hockey biz. And I think you guys agree, and you agree because you've been liking, subscribing, joining the Discord like crazy. Your reactions are what keep us fueled and fired up. So keep commenting down below. Hey, pause the video, go send a comment below, or wait till the end. Either way, give us a big old thumbs up at the end as well too. And if you've been watching this for some time, because we see you, we get the YouTube analytics, go ahead, hit subscribe. It's free down there. What are you waiting for? We won't cluster up your homepage here. We only got quality content on this channel. It's also a good way if you only follow us in the playoffs to make sure you don't forget about us next year when we're sitting at 20 or 30K. Mostly thanks to all of you guys. No, only thanks to all you guys. Also consider giving our member page a join down below. Shout out to these beauties here. We appreciate every one of you. Now let's go ahead and react to this amazing content. So the first thing we want to note, and we talked about this in our 45-minute video, we broke it down line by line by line, but here is a condensed version. Chart up, boom. Here's a condensed version of what's going on offensively, defensively, and total. So again, this comes over from The Athletic. And in short, let's start from the bottom at the total. You know, we always talk about Corsi, expected goals and goals. We'll take a look at the left-hand side of the chart. This should be all Avs all day, baby. They have a better Corsi than the Oilers. They have better expected goals for. That expected goals is based on how they're playing, and they've scored more actual goals based on the chances that are coming through. That's banana sandwich considering how many goals the Edmonton Oilers have put up. So you may be wondering how the numbers work. Hey, I'm just going to throw two words at you: statistics and math. I know, they're not super fun, but if you're an Avs fan, you're like, yeah, of course we're better in all categories. Well, you know what? That's the way she goes. This is why the odds are the way they are. And the summary of this comes from the offense and the defensive categories. Offensively, great Corsis by both in the playoffs, 66 versus 73. When you take a look at the shooting percentage, this is where Edmonton shines. Their shooting percentage of 10.8 versus 8.7. Both of those are unworldly, but Edmonton does get the nod in this category. Edmonton also gets the nod in overall goal category, and Edmonton also gets the nod in expected goals category. Hey, coach, hold on. Didn't you just say in the totals the Avs got the nods? I did. That's because we got to go down to the defensive category. It takes into account offense and defense. You play this game on both sides of the puck. And because the Avs are better defensively than the Edmonton Oilers, it ends up creating a total at the bottom that heavily favors the Avs. Like I said, math and science, baby. The key takeaways that I take away from charts like this are very simple. The Edmonton Oilers special teams, like we said in the last video, are better than Colorado's overall. They have a better penalty kill. They may have a worse power play, but it is not a bad power play. Their power play is good. It is not unworldly like the Colorado Avalanche. They have a 34% power play, 12.49 here on the chart. That is gross, unbelievable, world-breaking power plays. But then again, their penalty kill leaves a little bit to be desired, and that's what ends up skewing it for the Edmonton Oilers. For me, you know I favor penalty kill over power play. So in short, from that chart, you should go ahead and you should take the Avs if you believe in it. We don't even need to play the series. Let's keep talking. The series probability for the teams are 75% likely that the Avalanche take out the Edmonton Oilers. Remember, this is about the same spread we saw with Minnesota beating St. Louis. And because of Coach Ryan D's trained coach's eye thought provocation in the game, we said St. Louis's power play and penalty kill is going to go ahead and get the Minnesota Wild in trouble. The aggressive Minnesota Wild are going to end up in the box, and St. Louis is going to end it, and we were right. So it was 75% favored for Minnesota over the Blues. We ended up picking the Blues, and we nailed it. So don't let these numbers of 75-25 scare you off too much. This series is closer than people think, and this series is closer than the math will let you believe. We did a comprehensive roster breakdown for 22 minutes last time, but a picture states 1,000 words. Go ahead, take a look at here. Gold is good, baby. We like gold. Well, take a look at the forwards. Simple. Let's start with the fourth line. They both stink. Cut them out. We don't need to talk about them. They're going to be on the ice at some point in time. But where Woodcroft does better than Bednard here is we showed that Woodcroft only plays his fourth line 4% of the time, as he should. Run that top nine, baby. Run your stars. Make it work. Make it happen. He finds ways to mix and match his top nine with Connor McDavid all over the ice. Then we go ahead and take a look at the Colorado Avalanche. Jared Bednard, hey, he flips up his lines just as much as anybody else. Right now, we got Landeskog, MacKinnon, and Nichushkin together, but we know that it's actually Lutkinen and Rantanen that end up playing with MacKinnon, and we also know there is plenty of other combinations. Hockey fans, do not let line combinations be the only thing you look at. Coaches change them up mid-game all the time. The only ones that focus so much on line combinations outside of head coaches are fans, and we do it way too much. But hey, you enjoy the game how you want to enjoy it. We can't tell you how to have fun. When you take a look at individual players here, look at the top six. The top six of the Avalanche outweigh the top six of the Oilers, but Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are doing something else. That 6.1 and 4.1, that is calculating their regular season. That is not taking into account their playoff performance. The Battle of the Stars is real. Those two guys are real, and one of them's doing it on one leg. Take a look at the defense. Like we said, Toews and Makar. We're going to talk about Makar. We're going to talk about McDavid. There are a lot of people saying this is MacKinnon versus McDavid. Well, this may actually be Makar versus McDavid. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it's a star-studded top cast for the Colorado Avalanche, and it's balanced on the back end by the Edmonton Oilers. Jay Woodcroft gave an awesome interview over there to Edmonton media, and if I could summarize or paraphrase what he was saying, they were giving him a lot of props for balancing his defensive core, and what he said was, again, paraphrasing, the team itself does it by committee. We do defense by committee. We have people that do certain things really well, but we don't have a singular unit that's going to do everything well. So we're going to do it by committee. Translation, we do not have a top pairing set of defensemen that we feel comfortable with running 40 to 50% of the minutes on. It's that simple. Why? Darnell Nurse may be hurt. He may have a torn abdomen, and we've been told that through the comments. We've seen that he's been banged up all year. You play your studs, you play your stallions. Nurse is one of those guys. Nurse is the man, but he looks like he's playing a little bit hurt right now. So I could concur with those who are saying he's got an abdominal challenge. That could really throw you off. And Woodcroft, if he notices it, he's going to lean on his other five, and he's going to do it by committee. Woodcroft's a great coach, and what numbers don't dictate here is coaching. And I do think he gets the edge over Bednard. The big takeaway that we had on this one, though, is just how powerful and dominant Connor McDavid is. Taking a look at Connor McDavid's recent playoff performance, he has a GSVA of 11.2. It is the best since 2008. McDavid stands alone right now. Since that time, take a look at the names on this list. He is past Sidney Crosby. He is past Evander Kane, who has more goals right now. He is past Datsuk, the Magic Man, Cale, Makar. This is great greatness that we were seeing. And it is only McDavid versus McDavid. This chart shows that in his entire career, Connor McDavid has not hit this height. He is playing better than he has ever played in his entire lifetime. We are watching a goating right now. It is unbelievable. So unbelievable even that when you take a look at McDavid's performance versus NBA superstars who we know can carry their team all the way to a championship, he may not have an 18.5 GSVA like the man in the NBA, but he does have an 11.2, which is actually 2.1 times higher than the top 3 NHL playoff performers right now. McDavid is that dominant. Go ahead, throw Crosby. Go ahead, throw MacKinnon in there. Throw anybody you want in there. McDavid is 2.1 times better than they are right now. Comparing that to the best NBA player of all time, they're only 1.4 times better than the next top 5. Incredible what this guy is doing. And remember, NBA players, they play almost 100% of the minutes of the game. McDavid is only playing about 45 to 52%. We've broken that down. So he's playing half the amount of time that an NBA player is, and he is making this much impact on a game. That's huge. We also summarize this chart here, and these are goals with Connor McDavid on the ice. Oiler fans want to talk about balance. They want to talk about other guys doing it. Well, when McDavid is on the ice, and he's been on the ice for 173 minutes, head over to moneypuck.com. Check this out yourself. You can see that he was on for 23 goals for. That's good enough for 7.94 goals for the Oilers. When you take McDavid off the ice, it doesn't matter who the line combination is. It is only good for 5 at that point in time. So 202 minutes calculating with 5. That is unbelievable. That really does show the impact that McDavid is making and back up those charts. And finally, if you talk about the other big 3, Draisaitl, been a force on one leg. Hyman, absolute beauty in front of the net. And Kane, one of the best acquisitions and pickups by Ken Holland heading into the playoffs. You take McDavid off those line, any one of those 3 guys driving, they're only good for 3. That is mind-blowing. That goes to show you if you are not bought into the greatness that is Connor McDavid right now, I'm not sure what else to say. I mean, let's go ahead and pop up this quote here from Dom in the article. McDavid has 26 points in 12 games and has dragged an Oilers team into the 3rd round almost on his own. The gap between Colorado's forward and Edmonton's forward is 4.7 wins, close to the exact amount McDavid is playing above expectation right now. Let me say that again. The gap between Colorado's forwards and Edmonton's forwards is 4.7 wins. That is the difference that Connor McDavid is contributing to this series. You can almost contribute and correlate that entirety to McDavid. Stopping him means stopping Edmonton, but in this postseason, it's been easier said than done. McDavid is doing it all right now with the Oilers scoring 3/4 of the goals when he is on the ice. That backs up those charts I just had. With his offense in particular, preposterously high. So when McDavid's on the ice, dingers go in the net right now. 5-on-5, he scored 7.3 goals per 60. Hey, that's pretty close to Coach Ryan D's chart with McDavid on the ice. An astounding number that has led to his ridiculous point totals in this game. So hey, Coach Ryan D's not too crazy after all. Makes his own content, breaks it down, boom, it matches. That's the way numbers go. If you're going to work with numbers correctly, they should be pretty close, right? I mean, we can go ahead and we can pop up this chart here. This is why you should subscribe to The Athletic. They make player cards like this for every single player. If you want to see your favorite team, you want to see your favorite player, how they're comparing out there, these little hockey cards that they end up making are beautiful. They compare Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon. You can see at the bottom, the GSVA, that's the number we're looking at. Both of these players are damn good in their own rights. This is the own regular season. And we are talking about the fact that this may actually be a battle of the superstars. But again, let's throw up another quote here from Dom. So MacKinnon has been excellent in his own right, but not nearly to this level, meaning Connor McDavid. He's shown flashes of it, namely in Game 5 against St. Louis. We all remember that beauty goal, but not to the consistent degree that McDavid has. That's an extremely high bar. And while the Avalanche don't need MacKinnon to match McDavid to win, they do need him to at least come close. One player shouldn't be able to dictate the series, but this version of McDavid can. If McDavid can continue his torrid path, the Avalanche are in trouble, and that means MacKinnon has to be up to the task. That is why I ended up picking the Oilers in this series. I am believing in the greatness that is Connor McDavid. I'm believing in the fact that he's going to carry his team. MacKinnon is damn good, but I think Dom nails it here, and we said it in our last video. In order for this to happen, MacKinnon is going to have to close the gap on McDavid, or the Avalanche as a unit are going to have to find a way to shut down one man, and nobody has been able to do it yet. However, as we alluded to, the real fight may be between McDavid and Makar. Here is another beauty quote here. The reason some have wondered if the real title fight here is actually McDavid versus Makar. I am one of those people. As the latter has ascended to that realm of recognition, this year he's entrenched himself as one of the very best players on the planet, talking about Makar. Period. He's a force at both ends of the ice with or without the puck. Makar was the best all-around defenseman in the league in the regular season when he collected 86 points in 77 games. As fans know that well, he's led all defenders with a projected value of 4.9 wins, which equals the entire Oilers starting six on the blue line. Makar alone has equaled a contribution to his team of the entire Oilers starting six. Wow. To open the playoffs, he's only built on that elite puck movement and showed what a commanding force he could be for his team when the pressure rose. So his actual value has jumped even higher to a GSVA of 8.7, which is second only to McDavid among skaters in the playoffs. Ding, ding, ding. There's your title fight right there. That's your X factor in the series if you're looking for a battle of star on star, and that can heavily weigh it over the Avalanche. Look, guys, the smart money's on the Avs. There's no question about it. You should be picking the Avs. You should be pumping up the Avs. That's the way to go. But there's a couple of other things to take a look at here, and that's going to be the Draisaitl versus Rantanen talk. Draisaitl is gone unworldly right now. So as a supporting character to McDavid, Draisaitl has been massive. And it's crazy to think supporting character. Some people like to think Draisaitl stands on his own or he's equal to him. I see Draisaitl as the Starscream to the Megatron that is McDavid.
Keep the Autobots and control Cybertron. Right on schedule, aren't we? No thanks to you, Starscream. I've made my contribution.
But hey, you can view it any way you want. He's still one of the best in the world. So the two Decepticons, when they get out there, they are tough and they are hard to handle. And Draisaitl, he is leading in points right now, 17 points in the last series. He's tied with McDavid for first overall in the playoffs. And when we take a look at him versus Rantanen, it's very clear that Rantanen hasn't played that well. Again, take a look at this quote. That's partially why the two have projected equal values. Speaking of Draisaitl and Rantanen, they're actually considered nearly equal when it comes to advanced stats, but Rantanen has struggled to match his projected output in these playoffs, meaning he is playing below expectations, whereas Draisaitl's exceeding them. Relative to his teammates, his impact on actual expected goals has been negative. Again, talking about Rantanen. So even though he's sitting there with point totals that aren't too bad, he's actually hurting his team more than he's helping them. His 11 points in 10 games is lower than his usual point per pace, and he just has a single goal. He needs to step it up, and a secondary role might help with that, especially if Edmonton stacks the top line. So what that's saying is that when Edmonton puts out the top line, Rantanen should be matched against Edmonton's second line, which is the Nugent-Hopkins line, and maybe that will help him do some damage. So you have Makar playing unworldly. You have MacKinnon playing very, very well. You have McDavid, Megatron going to the next level. And then you end up having Draisaitl, the Starscream of it, playing really well as well. But Rantanen could end up being the X factor of this series. Mikko is damn good. They're going to need him to step up because that just adds another cog in the wheel for the Avs. The Avs are going to need to rely on their big five up front, and it's basically their top six minus Lehkonen. Lehkonen's good, but he's not in the same category of Nichushkin, Kadri, Rantanen, Landeskog, and MacKinnon. And then Devon, Toews, and Cale Makar are going to have to carry. Makar has the luxury of playing with an elite partner. Toews is elite in his own. This is the best 1-2 punch in defensive tandems in the NHL. They are the best pairing there is. So we cannot forget about how good Toews is, and these guys are going to eat up 50% of the ice time. So even though McDavid plays 52% of the ice. You heard me right. Here it is. Here's how the ice time breaks down. Line one, any line one with McDavid, they play 52% of the minutes. That's how Woodcroft gets McDavid going. He combines him with a whole bunch of players. Mad Scientist, Mentos in the Coke bottle, go boom. You heard me say that. Pair one for Makar is playing 44 minutes, him and Toews. Well, you know what? It is much easier to ramp up those two to match every shift that McDavid does than it is to have McDavid try to find space away from Makar and Toews. So you could actually end up having a moment where it's Makar and Toews together against McDavid and Draisaitl, and that is going to be a battle for the ages. All right, there's a shorter summary for you. There's a reaction to the best in the business. Go subscribe to The Athletic if you're a hockey nerd like me. If not, just stay tuned to Hot Garbage Sports. We'll be keeping you in tune with the best in hockey. And hey, don't forget, subscribe, thumbs up. And at the end of this video, it's over now. Why don't you think about checking out my 45-minute breakdown of these two? There's way more nuggets in it than I gave you in this one. You may like it. Turn it on while you're going for a run, lifting weights. Stay healthy out there. Get moving. Take your dog for a walk. If you don't, take a cat. If you don't, take your husband or a wife for a walk. Hold their hands, buy some ice cream, or listen to a podcast. Have a great, happy, and healthy week.